Hello, my name is Aidan O'Sullivan from University College Dublin, and this is a brief presentation about UCD's Centre for Experimental Archaeology and Material Culture. Our definition of experimental archaeology and material culture at UCD CMAC is the reconstruction of past buildings, technologies, environmental contexts and things based on archaeological evidence and their scientific investigation and experiences analogies to create a better understanding in the present of people's lives in the past. The Centre for Experimental Archaeology and Material Culture was established by UCD School of Archaeology and UCD Estates in 2012, supported by UCD College of Social Sciences and Law. CMAC is one of the only university on-campus facilities in the world totally dedicated to experimental archaeological research and teaching, public engagement. Our physical facilities, laboratories and equipment include the CMAC open air facility itself, which is a 1 acre gated enclosure, which creates a space for long-term building experiments, including a teaching shelter for COVID-19 teaching and outdoors buildings, wood-fired kilns, ironworking furnaces, a pole-laid bread oven and various other features. And the CMAC indoors facilities include practical workshops where we can keep electric kilns, electric pottery wheels, an electric furnace for metalworking and glassworking, as well as a whole range of raw materials. We also hold the John Coles Experimental Archaeology Library, which is his entire archive collection of books, papers, photos, and ephemera, which was a generous gift from this international pioneer in the field of experimental archaeology. And CMAC, through its connections in the university, has access to scientific and analytical equipment, including spectroscopy, metallography, petrography, XRF, and a range of other different analytical equipment and facilities. UCD Centre for Experimental Archaeology also has some pretty distinctive expertise, skills, and crafts and skills, technology skills, which you can learn particularly from Dr. Brendan O'Neill. And these include traditional architecture and building methods, stone, flint, and quartz working, pottery and technical ceramics, non-ferrous metalworking, ironworking, food technologies and cooking and baking, the use of organics, and archaeological excavation skills. And all of this is carried out under rigorous health and safety supervision and risk assessments. And you can use these skills to understand archaeological evidence better in your own research projects. So CMAC creates research and researchers and communicates research to the widest possible audience. Our archaeological research projects are carried out by staff, by postdoctoral fellows, by PhD scholars, and by both MSc and undergraduate students. And they reconstruct and investigate prehistoric and medieval houses and investigate various different types of past technologies and use things of all types of raw materials, all with a view to understanding archaeological evidence better and carrying out genuine archaeological research. And CMAC has established research collaborations locally within UCD, but also nationally and globally. So, for example, we've worked with colleagues in Germany looking at early medieval plough technologies as part of an EXARC twinning project. We've worked with colleagues in Crete and Greece, looking particularly at the production of Minoan pottery. And we've also collaborated with the Irish Institute for Hellenic Studies in Athens in the production of an edited book on experimental archaeology. We've worked with colleagues in America, particularly Dr. Bill Schindler from Georgetown University in Maryland in the USA on ancient foods. And we've worked extensively with Irish archaeological colleagues, obviously, and perhaps particularly interesting at the moment is a project on anthropomorphic wooden figures that we're working on with colleagues in University College Cork. So CMAC is dedicated to experiential teaching and learning. We have had 60 master's students in the last 5 years who have carried out their own original, creative, experimental archaeological research projects, and also up to 140 undergraduates who have done something similar. Experimental archaeology and teaching encourages intrinsic motivation, teamwork, group and individual tasks. It supports multiple forms of learning. It instills in students skills in project design, gives them a sense of originality and thoughtfulness, creativity and resourcefulness. And we always encourage our students to be engaged in communication and public outreach. So, for example, a most recent practical experiential learning experience our students would have had is only last week when they did an archaeological dig of our burnt down early medieval roundhouse, which was destroyed in May 2019. And they excavated that site and uncovered all its various features and finds to give intriguing insights into what happens in a medieval building when it goes on fire. CMAC has a very strong ethos of public outreach, and we're arguably leading a global conversation about experimental archaeology and how we can actually use experimental archaeology to understand past traditions. We have a Facebook page which has over 5,400 members from 96 different countries, and we also use Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, giving us a combined followers of well over 13,000 people, with probably a global reach and impact in the hundreds of thousands. We also obviously provide regular guided visits for school children, for foreign colleges, for community groups. And we are one of the distinctive aspects of University College Dublin's Green Campus, and we're used by colleagues in other disciplines, particularly in the COVID period for outdoors teaching. We run a Master's in Experimental Archaeology, a Graduate Diploma in Experimental Archaeology, and a Graduate Certificate in Experimental Archaeology and Material Culture, the latter being by distance learning and introduced in 21-22. If you want any further information on any of these programs, contact us through our website or contact us through our various social media channels, and we can give you more information. So just to give you, in the final stages of this very brief presentation, some visual images of what our staff, our postdoctoral fellows, our PhD students, and our master's students have been doing over the last 5 years. We have been reconstructing prehistoric and medieval houses at CMAC so as to understand daily life and living conditions in the past. We've been making, firing, and using pottery and technical ceramics to understand how they were used in the past. We have been involved in working on flint and stone all the way from prehistory up until the Middle Ages. We are investigating ancient food technologies, and this is Maeve Lestrain's PhD's medieval bread oven, which is used for investigating that form of baking technology. Our students cast bronze and work with non-ferrous metals to gain experience not only in the technological processes, but a deeper understanding of the archaeological evidence that results from all of these activities. Our students are also engaged in iron smelting. We procure natural bog ores, it's smelted, they do some blacksmithing, and they make things of iron. And we can also then progress that into laboratories where they can actually investigate those objects and compare and contrast them with original, genuine iron objects from Iron Age and medieval archaeology. Our students have also been involved in investigating glass and glass making in the past. And in this example, our student was actually investigating not so much the glass beads, but the physical archaeological signature in the soil of the different processes involved in glass making and glass working. We've also got a range of expertise and knowledge in woodcrafts. For example, here you can see one of our most recent projects where one of our students has built a medieval pole lathe, which can now be used by students to investigate that particular aspect of wood technology. We're investigating textiles and technologies in the past, and this is Dolores Carney's PhD on early medieval textiles, and she has been able to advise some of our master students on individual MSc theses looking at medieval textiles. Our students and our staff are involved in making things of bone and antler, whether that be antler picks from prehistory, bone combs from the early medieval period, or even bone dice from the late medieval period. Our students are involved in the processing of hides and the understanding of leather working and techniques in the past. And here's an example of our students reconstructing a genuine Bronze Age cist using various techniques to manipulate these large stones into position and to build a cist, and coming to an understanding of how communities would come together to mourn their dead. As I've already mentioned, the fact that our students are able to do archaeological excavations inside CMAC in some replicated archaeological signatures. And so thereby they're much better informed when they go out into the field about what is the nature of archaeological soils, what is the nature of survival of materials, and how we can actually read color stains and features in the soil to understand activities and events in the past. We're very heavily involved in public engagement, and our students will nearly always be expected to make some form of public engagement with passers-by, with school groups, with community groups, and so on. So in conclusion, experimental archaeology, what is it? Here in University College Dublin, we use the motto, making, understanding, and storytelling. We make things using our hands, our eyes, our smell, our hearing, our sense of touch, We make things, replicating things in the past to provoke new questions and genuine insights. But we're seeking to create an understanding, both scientifically and experientially, of buildings, technologies, things, and practices in the past and of the character of the archaeological record in the present. And we use storytelling techniques using archaeological evidence, historical sources, and experimental archaeology to tell stories that are more interesting about people's daily lives in the past and their and our experience of the world around us. Thank you very much.